Right, I've got three more non-alcoholic beers in front of me to try today. It's lunchtime on January the 1st of 2021. It's snowing outside, it's freezing cold, but I am going to press on and try these alcohol-free beers. Let's go with Franziskaner Weissebier alcohol-frei up first. And then, welcome back to my dry January here on Views on Brews, where I'm just going through as many of these alcohol-free beers I can find. I think you've got about 12 of them in total, so I'm pretty happy about that. They're new to me. I mean, I might have had an alcohol-free beer once or twice in the past, but not really. I haven't really sort of made any special sort of approach at looking for them because I've never really needed one. I've always sort of found myself in a position where I can have a beer, or I've gone and taken or I've walked to a bar, or I've taken a train to a pub, or, I've worked it out so I can have a few beers if I'm in a craft beer bar. But let's just say, for instance, I am heading off to a place where I'm driving to it, or I do want to cut down on the calories, or I do want to do this dry January, which I am doing. It surprises me how many options there are now. Just 10 years ago, I would have said, you'd be looking, you'd find the usual suspects, you'd find the old Caliber, or you'd find the Beck's alcohol-free, whatever they are, the Heineken 00 and all of that. Just beers that have very bland profiles, but fill in a gap. They're more of a necessity than an enjoyment. Now, fast forward to 2021, and, we've got beers like this, they're packed full of flavour, so it gives you an option. And it got me thinking last night that you could, if you get a really decent beer, you could conceivably add it into your beer drinking list. We're just thinking about a percentage as a volume, but what the process that a lot of brewers do is they make the beer, they mash the beer, they boil the beer, they ferment the beer, and then they strip the beer by de-alcoholizing the beer, either by some sort of straining method that's kind of like a dialysis, if you like, takes all of the alcohol out, puts the water back into the beer. I've never seen it in process. I don't really understand how that works, but as opposed to what used to happen, and still does happen, where you just heat the beer and it just kills the alcohol, denatures the alcohol, therefore you get it down to 0.5%. There's different ways of doing this non-alcohol thing now. So it's not just about beers that have had that heat process, which strips away all the flavour and leaves you with a lot of the time leaves you with a bit of crappy beer. Now there's different options and different things that are happening. So I think it's worth saying to yourself, if you're having an American IPA and it's 6.5%, bang, you have a pint of that, you'll know you've had it. I don't care how many beers you drink on a session out, you'll know you've had it. Why not stick an alcohol-free beer or a micro session beer? I've got one over here, it's 1.8%, packed full of flavour. Why not stick a bit of that in there and just see what it's like? Anyway, let's get on with this one here. Franziskaner, you get them in Lidl. They've got the Weissebier. Absolutely love their normal beer. Let's see what their alcohol-free beer is like. What else does it say just before I have a little sniff of this beer? So it has wheat, barley in it. There's a tiny amount of protein, tiny amount of sugar, protein from the wheat probably. It's 0.5, 21 calories per 100 mils. So that would make this 105 calorie beer. Absolutely fine. You're going to get more calories if there's a beer with wheat in it, or a beer with more protein in it. So maybe malt, maybe it has oats in it. But those calories come from the protein in the beer. as well as a proportion of energy that comes from the carbohydrates in the beer, and very little in the way of fat. Anyway, let's have a look at this one. Nice and hazy. It's got a decent malt color to the beer. Let's have a look at the bottle while we're at it. Franziskaner, you will have come across them in Lidl. They're obviously part of a big beer group that can import Franziskaner from Germany. That can import Franziskaner over. You know, that's the way you get to try these German beers, because they group themselves up with the big boys, and the big boys bring the beer over. It's, just to make it sound simple. Okay, so nice malty colour going on here, so I know there's a decent amount of malt character to this beer. It has the usual sort of head on it. I reckon if I spin it up, it'll go even further. It's nice and thick, stable head, white foam, slight, very, very small bubbles, nice lacing, nice amount of carbonation coming up through it. We'll see what it tastes like in a minute, see if this is one of those gassy ones. It looks good. It looks hazy. It looks unfiltered. I'm not sure the process, as I said, of how they de-alcoholize this beer, but it looks inviting anyway. On the nose, you get that honey malt. Some people will say, and I would be in this group, that de-alcoholized beer has this kind of raw malt, malted barley, malted wheat, raw character to it. And what I mean by that is if you're a home brewer, you'll know that when you mash in to make a beer, you're basically making a porridge of all of the crushed grain and the water, and you get this raw, unfermented beer, basically. That's a little bit what I get on the nose here. A lot of it, actually. It almost has like a porridgey nose to it. But there is characters, a caramel character, like a toasty character, I would say, coming off of the nose. Quite inviting, I will give it that. Anyway, cheers, Slodger Prost. Hope you're enjoying January, if that's what you're doing, and if you're not, I'll join you in February. All right, this beer is sweet. It is sweet. And you know, some wheat beers are sweet anyway, so I have to try and factor in what a non-alcoholic beverage is supposed to be and supposed to do, and the types of people that are gonna have this beer. You know, if you're sat down having 5 pints of this, that could get quite heavy. The beer is cold. It's around the 6 degrees Celsius mark. It's cold in my hand. There's good body to the beer. There's really good body to the beer. Like, this isn't one of those non-alcoholic beverages that feels thin. You know, you get a meaty beer. That's going to be all the protein that's left over from all of the wheat in this beer. And it shows up in the haziness. Really nice mouthfeel. There is a decent bit of malt character to it. It's like not toasted bread. It's just kind of like sliced bread that has a nice crust on it before it goes in the toaster. Let's say that. Yeah, there's like a combination of doughiness to it and a combination of that and a little bit of toastiness to it as well. So very nice flavour profile. I have to give it that. The sweetness, I'm actually enjoying it. I was worried at first that it was going to be more like you know, one of those unfermented sort of malt beers that just like you just know it's alcohol free. But I have to say, even though this misses the alcohol content, it doesn't miss a lot of the flavour of a normal alcoholic beverage. So this actually, I'm actually enjoying it, I have to say. Like, if you had a couple of these in the fridge I mean, this one's got about half a year on it, date-wise. If you have a couple of these in the fridge, I think you're good to go for when people come around and say, "Well, no, I don't drink." Hand them one of these; they'd be surprised. I love that. A really rich malty nose on this beer. I love that. It does come across a bit porridgey, a bit like the mash of beer, but it's not bad at all. That is a nice tasting beer. I have to give it credit for that. I'm enjoying drinking this. I know I'm not getting the buzz. I know I'm not getting that warming alcohol sensation that you get down the back of your throat, but it doesn't feel like it's missing anything other than that tiny bit that you get down the back of the throat. I'm not getting a buzz from it, but that's the whole point. I think this is a strong contender for one of the best that I've had so far. Yeah, Franziskaner, you'll get this anywhere, certainly in Lidl. Alcohol-free. It's a Weissebier. It's got wheat in it. Weissebier, 50% wheat is normally what the grain bill is, and 50% malted barley as well. So cheers, sláinte, and it's on to the next one. Bye.